on this episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists.
There is that thing in dentistry where if you're not like full on with fluoride, then you're I don't want to say you're shunned bastion of a child, like any of those things, but you're definitely looked at as like hokey, or you're just woo-woo.
But look at their health history. They might have cardiovascular disease or rheumatoid arthritis or other things. So just because someone doesn't have the autoimmune component of perio, which it's autoimmune, they might have a downstream effect of what those interleukins and cytokines are doing to the rest of the body. So it's a bucket problem, right? And an inflammatory issue problem. I wish we would teach hygiene at the very start, that it's not about getting the toothbrush in necessarily. That's important, but we need to be looking at how kids are breathing.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists podcast, episode number 499. I'm your host, Andrew Johnston, and thank you so much for joining us for yet another great episode. This episode is a touch longer than our normal episodes, so I'm going to keep this intro super short. Amanda, Hale, Heather Kenney join me on the show today. They're offering an alternate way to practice dental hygiene, and it's through a more functional or maybe a holistic approach. And I love these kinds of episodes. And I know for some people it can be a little bit controversial, but I like these episodes because it kind of pushes your brain to think a little bit deeper, to ask the whys. And it also gives you a starting point on how to integrate some of these practices. We didn't really talk about it too much on the episode, but I know that they really believe in using microscopes, for example, as part of the practice. This to me is fundamental science being used to educate and treat our patients. How incredible would it be for all of us to be able to prove out the work that we're actually doing through something like microscopes? So I'm super excited for this. They joined us at RDH Under One Roof. They also have a podcast. If you're interested in more about this topic, be sure to check out their podcast. It's called the Functional Roots Podcast. And with that, let's get into the conversation.
A tale of two hygienists.
Listeners, welcome into the interview portion of the podcast. Joined today by Heather and Amanda. We are, by the way, on the show floor at RDH Under One Roof. You might hear a little bit of, other than that, hooting and hollering, extra hooting and hollering, and maybe some clanging. We also have the bar kind of right next to us, so there might end up being a line here. So we apologize about the noise. However, thank you both for being here.
Super excited.
Thank you so much.
So, listeners, just in full transparency, One of us is well more prepared than the rest of us on this episode. I got sent over a very first of all, these are great questions, by the way, Amanda. But like,
Thank you.
I don't think in the 10 years of doing this, I've ever had anyone put this much thought into a podcast or the preparation of said podcast. I want you to be proud of that.
Your face, it looks
way.
like terrified, though.
Well, it's just like, I don't know that I've ever this feel. I don't know if I will be able to do this. So listeners, I might just read questions is basically what I'm trying to say, because it's hard sometimes for me to sound so natural. And in this space specifically that we're going to talk about today, this is not my space. Mm-hmm. This is not, we talked about MySpace earlier.
I was just going to say, like, that was a fun bring back.
Hey, listeners, if you're lucky, actually maybe stay to the end of this. We might, we recorded some things about GeoCities and MySpace and Crunchy, Maine, hunting gray squirrels and stuff like that. We might throw that at the very, very, very end of this episode. So stay tuned for that. You guys are okay with
just
that?
for some backstory, all of us.
Just so you get the MySpace joke. That wasn't all that funny.
You'll understand my crunchy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about, you guys started a podcast. Let's talk about the podcast first. Let's talk about like where you're coming from, your space in dentistry, your history in dentistry, and kind of introducing yourself to the audience.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Heather.
Okay, all right. So I started in dentistry. Lisa Barr and I went to school together.
We love Lisa on this podcast.
She's a wonderful. So I started in dentistry with Lisa 20 plus years ago and worked in general dentistry for a really long time. Perio, my passion has always been perio, and got super disappointed in the perio world just because people weren't getting better.
Yeah.
And then I ended up as a DSO director of hygiene because I love protocols and processes. And I think it's important to hold up the standard of care, and discovered there's a little bit of a lack of standard of care in some aspects, and getting people to actually follow processes can be challenging. And I don't like being hated. So
You just want people to like you.
I like to be liked. And
By the way, your topic today is not going to bring in all the love necessarily. It might bring in some.
We're going to bring in the
We're
love.
here for it.
I love that you're here for it because I think it's really important.
So then I moved into holistic dentistry. And in that practice, I started working with a phase contrast microscope. And that practice wasn't really doing a whole lot biologically as far as their hygiene department.
Sure.
And I am a perio queen. I love perio. When you talk about microbiome, that's my jam.
Go.
So I ended up incorporating guide biofilm therapy and phase contrast microscopy. And then we did some oral microbiome testing through oral DNA for a little while. And then I moved over to bristle because it was more broad spectrum on the oral microbiome. And then got certified through the IOMT, which is a biologic group that does a lot more in-depth education, and fell in love with a more holistic approach to patient health, looking at everything. So we started the podcast because Amanda and I met through Noriana and Guru Nanda. We worked for Guru Nanda, which is an oil pulling company. I learned the value of oil pulling by watching the oral microbiome under microscope and seeing the impacts there. And then she's certified through the IOMT too. And it's kind of like, let's teach people about the things that we have learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did not have really any sort of holistic background. I've been in dentistry. I graduated from hygiene school in 2008, University of New Mexico. We call it the university near mom because nobody actually goes away to school in New Mexico. We just stay there. And I don't want to say traditional because nothing's normal or standard, but just worked in so many different offices. And I felt like when you're in that position as a hygienist, you are always just trying to be what the practice or the doctor needs you to be.
Right.
And you don't get to really experience what your passion is because you're just trying to hold down a job or keep the bills paid, that sort of thing. And that was definitely the position I was in for the vast majority of my career, was just, I'm just here to get a paycheck.
Sure.
And moving up to Utah, got married and moved to Utah during COVID.
Nice.
I definitely had a big paradigm shift. I actually started working for a DSO. That was my first time not being in a private dental practice. And I was hesitant. I was not sure how that was going to go. But definitely, it was interesting being able to be given more space. I felt like the DSO was more interested in diagnosing perio. I mean, there may have been a little bit more on the production side of it, motivation, but I think
it's weird how it goes hand in hand, though, doesn't it?
Yes,
Absolutely.
It does go hand in hand. So, finally was, really being able to diagnose and be given the not just the skills, but the technology. So we incorporated things like AI, which I don't think I could work without. But I also started my influencer journey as well through the Curvy Scaler, and that's how I started coming to Under One Roof. We started it 4 years ago at the Florida convention, and then the year after that we did Evolution, and that's really where we just kind of started discovering, hey, I think I am more into more natural things. Maybe Utah had a little bit of a push in that one too. Patients actually having conversation and just not wanting the normal things and just kind of questioning what I had practiced the previous 15 years of dentistry for me.
Yeah.
And Guru Nanda definitely played a role in that as well. But I think RDH Under One Roof and Evolution and just getting to hear other hygienists that were on either a similar journey or looking for the alternative stuff, because yes, if there is that thing in dentistry where if you're not like full on with fluoride, then you're I don't want to say you're
Shunned
bastion of a child, like any of those things,
Yeah.
but you're definitely looked at as like hokey, or you're just woo woo. And just being able to find that community of hygienists that are like, okay, but yes, fluoride works. We're not arguing that fluoride remineralizes, but just like what is really going on with the patient holistically, that they're getting holes in their teeth. It's not from a fluoride deficiency. And realizing, maybe that's not the best material for every patient.
Yeah.
So just learning the science and getting to hear from other providers and practitioners how they're practicing and getting to see results, things through the bristle health test, the microscope, like that's just crazy, like dental endoscopy, just so many different things out there, but it's just opened my mind. But obviously we did a podcast years ago, and that really started opening up a whole new world of how hygienists are practicing. And when Heather and I got to meet, we were like, yes, this is the space we want to be in and just grow this community. That's our goal.
It's interesting. There's one thing I want to circle back on. First of all, actually two things. One, it's weird. Listeners, I love DSOs. Like I'm on pro. I had no idea that both of you guys were in DSOs before. And then you guys would have like a somewhat favorable like opinion of systems and, all the focus on perio and all. Yeah. There's so many good highlights there. And it's kind of an overarching topic here where it's like, not everything is all good and not everything is all bad. Like, why are you throwing the baby out with the bathwater for all of these different things? We need to open up our minds and also be analytical, question things, all of that. Going back to questioning things, we'll talk about your patients for a minute, because it kind of seemed like for a really, really long time there, what you were saying about the hygienists that don't believe in fluoride, I feel like the patients that question you are the ones that are the pain in the neck patients, the problem patients,
the Karens. Are you saying that they're the Karens?
Absolutely. You know what I mean? But don't they have that kind of a bad rap? So what was it about it, that those experiences that you were just like embracing, as opposed to being like, you are taking my time, I need to be done with this in 20 minutes? And
I think with the patients that I did have, I didn't quite find that to be 100% true, that they were the pain in the neck, like, it's them on the schedule. I would say that was a little bit much lower of a percentage. The ones that I was finding that were higher, I don't want to say higher, but the ones that were really doing well dentally and not being on our schedule for a lot of restorative work were the crunchier ones. And so that's really kind of what caught my attention. It wasn't like, oh, it's the no fluoride family with the bombed out teeth.
Yeah.
Like, yes, those definitely exist, because those people aren't.
But that comes down to nutrition.
It does.
It's just like, not because of the fluoride, though,
exactly.
Right?
It's not just because of the fluoride. Because I definitely have those patients where, I literally have a lady that uses crushed up pearls for toothpaste, and I'm just like, you can't do this and still have candy. Like, these two things are not equal. So she's like one that frustrates me, but she's the one that's kind of made me question a lot of things, as well, like the plugins that we used to have in our office, that now we know, oh my gosh, yes, these things are horrible for us.
We're gonna bleep out the kind of the name brand for the plugins, but it's a air freshener that you plug in. If you just put two and two together, folks.
Yes.
I'm sure you do it. But wait, can we talk about that for a minute? Because I have no idea what we're talking about. I was honestly just thinking, so we do candles at home, like my wife and I, like we have the candles in our room. And I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, you know what? I would rather have plug-in.
Yeah.
It is?
You can't say that word.
Sense.
Or we're going to bleep it out. It's fine. Yeah. You for catching me, though.
Yeah. And that's where the crunchy side comes in with the holistic dentistry, is they're like different materials can affect different people.
Yeah.
Like some people are more allergic, or they're more susceptible because they have buckets of health issues downstream. So when we have like PFAS and like scents and
phthalates,
they're
stuff.
endocrine disruptors in those components. So scents in candles and those sorts of things can impact health in some individuals, because their health and wellness isn't like, your bucket is less full than theirs is on the systemic health side of things.
Okay, follow-up question about that. So if my body is able to tolerate it, doesn't necessarily mean it's okay that it's still
correct
there.
It's still a toxin. Yeah, it's just your immune system is okay with it, right? It's just like perio.
Yeah.
Like, well, let's transition to the perio. And I don't know if anyone took Camille and Ann Rice's class, but kind of talking about the host component, right? Like your body is primed to react to something. Mm-hmm. And, some people, and I'm huge. work for Bristle Health, and I do all the training for all offices who are implementing salivary diagnostics into that. And I do a ton of research and reading of articles. But some people, when we're testing more preventatively, they have extreme dysbiosis in the oral microbiome, right? But they might have pig stippled firm tissues.
Right.
But look at their health history. They might have cardiovascular disease or rheumatoid arthritis or other things. So just because someone doesn't have the autoimmune component of perio, which it's autoimmune, they might have a downstream effect of what those interleukins and cytokines are doing to the rest of the body. So it's a bucket problem, right? And an inflammatory issue problem. So same thing with the things that we're exposed to every day. So someone who has amalgam that has mercury in it, and it's constantly leaching mercury. If you look at the video Smoking Tooth, it's pretty profound on how that's always leaching. And for some reason, dentistry has admitted we shouldn't put mercury into patients' bodies like a pregnant woman or a child. It's in the guidances, right? But in some people who are really sick, they can't tolerate mercury at all. And it will embed in your tissues. I just did a whole conversation with a functional medicine doctor on the impact of mercury and fluoride on the thyroid and Hashimoto's. So those are like some of the downstream things with autoimmune issues and the things that we're using in dentistry that can impact health.
But it's just fascinating because it's like it and not to be like the devil's advocate for all of this, but I just don't know this space. Okay, right. I'm not trying to be it, but it's like if it really is that bad, then why do we still have it? You know what I mean? Like, how do we answer that question? Because our patients are going to ask the same thing, right? Like I think a lot of dental professionals are like, well, amalgams would be more stable. It's easier to place. It's easier this. It's going to last longer. It's going to do all these things. And then the trade-off is going to be, we have this other thing that could potentially be an issue for your body type, but also potentially not. But it is what you're saying.
Mercury is for everybody. Yeah. In all honesty.
And there's downstream effects that's going to happen.
Yeah. Just talking about mercury in general, like amalgam fillings have 50% mercury in them, and mercury is always leaching. And we have to have a mercury filter in our dental office to filter that from the water system so it doesn't end up in our fish.
Right.
Right. And if we have chunks of a mercury filling, we have to save it and biohazard remove it. But for some reason, it's safe 2 inches from your brain. Does that make sense? Not
also,
really.
Think about
the logic is there, right? The logic is there, but the thing is like, but then why are we still doing it? Like, I just
ask the ADA
because the ADA owns the patent,
right?
No, but okay, but to that point though, the ADA though can't be the ones that say, "Hey, Washington State, go ahead and do this." Like, this is the thing that you you are allowed to do. Like, either state or national levels should have said, this is a patient safety and a public safety issue.
And they have admitted it to a certain extent, where they're saying pregnant women, children, and anyone with kidney disorder shouldn't have it in. So if it's not okay for that population, why is it for anybody else?
I don't know. I'm not the authority on this. I mean, it just feels like, I mean, it feels like there like a lot of different things where
it's
okay, maybe it's a gray scale.
It's a gray scale. Yeah, and fluoride is too. I mean, the new trial that just took place, the EPA has to do something. The judge decided that fluoridated water does impact the IQ of children. So, and it does have a downflow effect on individuals. So is mass treatment of people really the best interest for our population, or should we be more doing things that more topical types of treatments in office are going to benefit better for remineralization purposes? And for public health, like the number one health history issue that you see in your health history is probably Hashimoto's or thyroid disorder, and it impacts thyroid too. So I mean, there are some downstream, so we do have to think about like mass medication, and that's what it is mass medication of an entire population. Is that healthy for the entirety of the population for one specific reason? When the dietary aspects, have you seen what kids are eating at school?
Yeah.
That's the big problem. Let's address nutrition and lack of nutrients that we're dealing with and the root cause of what is actually causing decay. It's not a fluoride. issue. It's a nutrition and gut problem and an educational problem.
Can I say, like, well, I have no dog in any of the fights here, but I will say, though, it does bother me a little bit that all of the effort has gone into removing fluoride from our water and not fixing
We need
nutrition.
to fix the problem.
Let's all agree on that.
Stuff, right? You know what I mean?
It's the root cause.
And it doesn't mean like you can't do one or the other, but it just feels like, but I mean, we've had not even just dental problems, but overall health problems because of our nutrition for decades, get compounding.
I mean, my kids at the school, and the school board didn't like me because I was fired up because our kids get 20 minutes for lunch. 20 minutes to make it through the lunch line, shove food that's really poorly nutritionally laid out for them, and then run out to recess.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, it's okay because they can have snacks during the day. Well, what snacks are they going to have? Crackers that's going to stick in their teeth? Or, gummies? Like, mindful eating is really important for proper digestion.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be teaching kids to just scoff down their lunch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But actually having like nutrition, like let's build some gardens and teach where food comes from and actually incorporate good nutrition into the diet. That's what our programs need to be versus slapping some fluoride.
So what effort would you like to see on that, Andrew?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not really. I guess my thing. On that. I don't know what kind of effort it is, but it's like, wow. Some of the things that you said on here are. I feel like there's definitely two camps. Where in this thing, I don't know there's that many people who are like, oh no, the garbage our kids are eating is super healthy.
Right.
There's not two camps on this thing. So why haven't we put a focus on this, which we also know. Okay, folks, it's a dental podcast. We're getting into it. Don't worry. But like there's a dental like component to it, but it's an overall health thing. So it's like it's hitting us in every facet of our life, yet we're still not addressing it.
And even like in dentistry, like I am the oral microbiome queen.
Cheers. I will. You can have that crown.
And with the bristle test, I have the doctors coming in all the time. Like, well, I don't understand because the test is telling me they're low risk for decay issues.
Yeah.
I'm like, because it's not bacterial.
Yeah.
It's not a bacterial problem. It's a systemic problem. It's either we have an airway problem and a saliva issue and they're mouth breathing and they are not able to keep their pH up and they're demineralizing. So the airway, I wish we would teach hygiene at the very start, that it's not about getting the toothbrush in necessarily. That's important, but we need to be looking at how kids are breathing.
Yeah.
And like all these attention deficit kids, like the airway needs to be addressed. If we're not breathing properly, we're going to have attention deficit. We're going to have bedwetting.
Speaking of the devil.
There she is. Lisa Barr just walked by, you guys.
She's dancing like a fool, everyone. I hope every listener understands how foolish she looked.
And then there's nutrition, right?
Yeah.
So I'm teaching like, okay, we can have, biofilm issues that we need to address and deal with, or we need to deal with an airway problem, or we need to deal with nutrition and where that's going. That's the triangle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No. And so to your questions, like, where would you have me focus? Like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Fix everything in that triangle.
This is biologic hygiene.
All right. So that goes back to question number one. For listeners who may not be familiar, can you break down what biological or functional dentistry actually is and how it shifts the folks from being clean teeth to whole person care? Folks, we just answered it.
We just wrapped
there
that.
You are. That's that one.
That's the bucket.
Actually, we're going to actually go through this because we've already spent all of our time on my nonsense questions. So here we go.
I love your nonsense questions.
Thank you. In a traditional dental setting, hygienists are often seen as the ones who clean teeth. How does biological hygiene redefine the role of the hygienist in patient care? Okay, so this is really good because what I want to talk about necessarily is, sorry, I'm going to deviate from your beautiful question that you asked.
Thank you for your flattery.
Because my brain goes different places. Okay, I do feel like Barbara Tritz has been on the podcast. We love Barbara. She is
a rock star.
How freaking smart is she?
Yeah.
Okay, I love her. She is doing something completely unique within her practice, but has the buy-in from the whole practice, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would like the answer instead of this specific one is like, okay, so if you have components of belief systems of biological dentistry, how can you bring that to whatever practice that you're in? How can you still practice within any practice the tenets that are the right tenets to believe in? Or does it have to be an all or nothing thing?
I don't think it has to be all or nothing because I'm kind of walking that.
Okay.
Like I still work for a DSO. They're not a biological DSO. So like the beauty of what we were talking about earlier with DSOs and being a hygienist, you have a little bit more autonomy than, the dentist saying, well, I want you to do this because if you make this patient mad, they're going to leave. Like,
right.
It's not so much that. So something I've started incorporating is pH testing, making sure that you're taking blood pressure with patients. Like these are legitimately things that really set you so apart from other offices. So having the conversation of what the heck is pH? Patients don't know what pH is.
Right.
Like this opens a huge opportunity to have conversation of like, okay, how does this impact your oral health? How does the products that you're using at home impact your oral health? The oral microbiome, dysbiosis, just having these conversations with people because, again, you got to meet patients where they're at because there are some people that, there are those crunchy patients that they're like, oh yeah, I've been trying to keep my pH of my urine and everything at the 5.7 or whatever they want their urine to be. And then there's people that literally bring their Red Bulls in to their dental appointments, right? We all have those patients.
They switch and spit with their,
Pretty much. So like having those conversations, but like you're making the patient aware of that.
Yeah.
So those are two things that I have easily implemented into practice. Giving opportunity to have conversation of alternatives. We all know that there are one or two alternatives to fluoride varnish out there. I have yet to have approval for that to be implemented in my DSO space.
Can we talk about what that is? I mean, without saying brand names or whatever. I mean, what?
Fig. Fig varnish.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Feed Your Good guys. So they're
hydroxyapatite based.
Yeah, the hydroxyapatite versus fluoride because I do have patients that don't want the fluoride at all. But maybe they still need some remineralization. So I would love to still be able to offer that opportunity. Granted, would I love them to be using a nano hydroxyapatite toothpaste at home daily? Yeah, absolutely. But, going back to the whole DSO production space, I would love to still be able to offer that to patients, even as an educational aspect as well. Do I get to practice?
And have it covered.
And have it covered.
It's not a fluoride varnish anymore.
So
we
it's
need
not a
to
1206
change
code.
Yeah, we should maybe change the code to a varnish, a remineralizing varnish, right?
So
instead of specific,
Okay, so real quick, we can keep this one in, and I have something I want to talk about that we're going to put it to the end of the podcast because it's nonsense again. But we are actually doing a pilot for exactly that because fluoride was removed from the water in Florida. Right? Utah was May, right? And then July 1st,
Salt Lake County.
Yeah,
July 1st was for I think all of Florida, and so we started having even before all of that, we had patients coming in being like, okay, we don't do the fluoride thing. And so we're actually piloting Feed Your Good guys, everyone. We'll say the name.
It's a great
We can leave
product.
it in there.
Yeah, they're really
and
good.
we ran into the same issue. So it's
Stacey
like
knows her stuff. Like if you want to learn about nanoxome and the technology of nano versus micro and all of that, Stacey Whitman is brilliant.
Shout out to Stacey Whitman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
We don't have a code though for it.
No.
We're using an internal code.
Yep.
No, what are we using? Yeah, we are using an internal code. And we're being very clear on the walkout statement that it's fluoride free or whatever. Anyways, listeners, we got through number 2 out of 10. Thank you very much. Okay, let's pick one more real quick because we are out of time.
You just have to have us come back.
Okay, so here we go. Let's do number 7. In your podcast, you explore biohacking and functional wellness. What are some surprising ways hygienists can apply biohacking principles both in their personal health and patient care?
So there's different things like
surprising though.
Surprising
thing. It says surprising.
Well, let's talk about ozone. I mean, you've talked about ozone before, right? When we're talking about the oral microbiome and shifting and how products can completely obliterate everything. The microbiology of different bacteria, like most pathogens, are anaerobes, right? So ozone is kind of a biohacking type of situation, right? Most of the biologic practices are utilizing ozone. Well, ozone is O3. It's a free oxygen molecule. You can use it in water, oil, It's great for home care use. There's now water flossers on the market. So we have a really cool one in the IMT booth that I brought to show people. But anaerobes don't tolerate oxygen. So we can use the power of oxygen. And it's great because ozone helps to stimulate mitochondria. It brings more oxygen to the white blood cells and the red blood cells. So, anaerobes can't tolerate it. But the really cool thing is when we're trying to biohack the oral microbiome is the beneficial bacteria are aerobic. And I can actually see the shift in the oral microbiome happening because the beneficials, there are some anaerobic bacteria, but I can start to see the shift start to happen into dysbiosis because the beneficial bacteria will be more anaerobic in nature versus the aerobic ones that I start to see. And then even like the ones that will be in the nitric oxide score, like the nitric oxide bacteria are generally aerobic. They live on the tongue. But if we get a biofilm on the tongue, they're going to be snuffed out and we'll only have the anaerobic bacteria there. So we can use oxygen to shift the biome pretty significantly. And xylitol, if you think of, and probiotics, because we have bacteriocins within probiotics that can help act as companion plants in the garden, is what I kind of call it, to shift the biome as well. So there's certain things rather than just obliterating everything that we can use to help shift and change.
So instead of scorched earth.
It's like a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
and then there's things like quercetin and vitamin C and vitamin A and vitamin D, where we start looking at those types of things where the minerals and the vitamins play a huge, significant role on how things are. And then just food, right? Like good bacteria like fiber. So if we're going to eat food, we need to eat vegetables and fruits. And some we need arginine and things that come from meat or protein. And you have to know how to eat protein appropriately if you're vegan, right?
Yeah.
So we have to like kind of biohack the situation in diet. So those are some cool biohacking things.
Definitely. One of the most, I think, profound books that I've read this year is just The Dental Diet. And it really reinforced everything that, I'm going through a functional medicine program right now through the Institute for Functional Medicine. And just the reinforcement that you have to have fat and meat in your diets. And there's been such a push in culture of, oh, it's not sustainable. And it's like, no, like how we're growing it is not sustainable and it's not right for the animal. But grass-fed, grass-finished beef is like one of the most complete nutritious products that you could possibly consume. And you have to have all of those for dental health, for whole health, but for dental health. And we've seen that in cultures around the world for millennia.
And
we can think we can get away with not doing it now.
I was going to say, it's really funny that all of a sudden we think that we know everything, but then we can look back in history and then there's there is a blueprint that has been in existence for forever.
Even just gardening. Yeah. I mean, not that that's biohacking, but I mean, I'm a huge gardener. I love to garden and I like to can.
And you say you're crunchy? Is that what
I'm a little crunchy.
Just a little bit?
She alludes to it.
But there's nothing like fresh vegetables from the garden that you grew and you had your own soil that you don't have all the crap that gets sprayed on our food, right? Because glyphosate impacts your gut. And if you have a leaky gut problem, you're not going to be able to uptake the minerals and vitamins. And then you end up with bone loss and decay issues. So
just the nutrient density of the food as well that we get. Like the longer your food travels, the less nutrient dense it is. Yeah. So it's like, I think like most tomatoes now are like 25% of what our ancestors were eating.
There's nothing like a homegrown tomato.
We're overfed, undernourished.
It's funny. It's like you can really tell lately. So I grew up on having, a garden and stuff like that. And you go and we have like the cherry tomatoes and they're just so like at the depth of flavor and even like the snap of the skin and all these different things are just delicious. And then you go and it's like these, like basically water is what it looks like. It's like, oh my gosh.
It's like cardboard.
Yeah, you can't even have these tomatoes from the store. Look, we got through 3 questions of 10. Listeners, you got to go check out their podcast if you want to learn more. Make sure you reach out to them and ask them all of the questions that you have in this space. Where can they find your podcast? How do you want them to contact you?
We love social media. We are Functional Roots Podcast on Instagram, and our website is also functionalroots.com. We're on YouTube, and we're on all of the not social media platforms, but all of the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, all of those fun ones.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.
Andrew.
All right.
Okay, so this part's going to be off the air because I have a question about regulating your urine pH.
Why is this going to be off the air?
Well, it'll be at the end. People, this is bonus content for whoever wants to stick it to after the end of the show. How do you do that? I've never even heard of this.
So yes. So I am actually seeing a nurse right now, and we're working on balancing body pH, and she tests my pH of my saliva as well as my urine to see how well I'm absorbing nutrients. Because if you are out of pH, you're not absorbing your micronutrients. So those minerals that you need. So if you're taking supplements, but your body's not in pH, you're not absorbing them and you can't use them, and you're peeing them out.
How do you stay in pH? It's not as simple as not eating acidic foods.
Right. No, you do need acidic foods. Actually, you should just put me on a whole lot of lemon.
Really?
Yeah. Because it metabolizes as basic.
Yeah, it does the opposite.
Yeah.
It goes in
This is
acidic,
new
but
to me, by the way.
it
Yeah.
makes you
I'm so
more
dumb.
basic. Yeah.
So yeah, my
Did we
initial.
learn about this in school? I don't remember about this in school.
Yeah,
That's
this
the
is
tragic.
the fun part of biologic
So,
learnings.
so like the first time I saw her, for instance, like my numbers were way out of whack. She has like a whole thing. And so she put me on acidic calcium. And I don't metabolize acidic calcium. Like my body doesn't need that. It needs basic calcium. So like she put me on lime, not lime as in lemons and limes, but limestone water.
Okay.
Yeah, that was wild. And
That is wild.
You just need to move to Wisconsin where you have land and limestone all over the place.
I need mountains.
Wait, so you want her to mine her own
She can move
lime?
my knee. Yeah. I'm
Or is
sure
it in
it's
the
in our
water
water.
naturally? Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I was like, you should go make her go out like just like hammer and rocks and just crush up her
It's in
own
it.
lime.
We have well water.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So calcium citrate. So it's
Fascinating.
yeah. It's what she does is it's wild. It's really interesting. But just like seeing how like my sugars and just all of the minerals in my body are changing with just changing the basic and the acidity. So
And the
So-
mouth is the
Insane.
same way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the acidity of the mouth is bad for caries, but even the period pathogens love it more acidic. Like there's a really cool research study that I've looked into where the periodontal pathogens, the more severe perio you have, you're going to be more on like the 6.25. It's correlated with staging and grading of the pH in their mouth. So I use to shift the biome biologically a lot of xylitol because if I shift the pH, then it can assist with keeping the beneficials in because they like a more alkaline environment, and the pathogens both on the carie side and
See, all of
the
this is back
inflammation
now
side.
into my wheelhouse. Now I understand all of this stuff, but the
Yeah.
body stuff is just wild
Yeah.
to me. It's like, how can you really affect like all the way through?
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.